Greetings and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Evidently, you're unaware. I am your host, Andrea, also known as the Successful Diva. I am glad that you are here with me today. Why? Because it's 2026. And for many of you, that might mean a lot of things. Sometimes it means eating healthier, being more productive, joining a gym, starting a business, all of those things that the new year seems to bring resolve to do in our lives. And so for me, it's really no different. However, I will share, this is a transparent fact. I assess where I am in life several times, not just at the close of one year into another one. I assess at least once or twice throughout the year because it gives me a chance to look at what's happening, what's going on, what's being done right, what could change. Maybe I need to pivot to get a different result. Maybe things are going great and I keep things the way they are, but it's just a lifestyle habit that I've incorporated in my own life, in my business. And so I encourage you, just take that as a little tip here on this platform. Don't wait until the end of the year. Any day is a good day to start being a better individual in your life. And so thank you to those who are subscribers to this channel. If you are here for the first time and we're in the new year and this is your first time hearing anything on this platform, I'm going to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. It's relevant. It brings information that you need to know and be aware of because many times people are not aware, and this platform is dedicated to bringing light to issues, topics, circumstances, and people who influence our lives. And so I aim each time to bring the information that you don't kind of need to just keep right out here on the peripheral view of your life. You need to bring it kind of right into the central vision so that you can make better decisions, and particularly if those decisions are in the lane of politics and the people who are vying and jockeying for your vote. You need to know who's representing you and your best interests. So let me get started here today. To those who are committed to being light in the darkness that we're experiencing in today's nation and really in some ways across the globe, the world. Let me say this. We must be intentionally focused in 2026. The year 2025 was not good for many people on many levels across the spectrum. There is an all-out visible assault, clearly in plain sight assault on our democracy and the livelihoods of those of us who live in this country. No matter what the issue is, the 34-count convicted felon and his enablers are hell-bent on being on the wrong side of history. And I may dare say that I don't even know if they care that they may be, and they are, on the wrong side of history. What we must do is not become complacent. We cannot rest on our laurels. We cannot look back and think about all the successful protesting that occurred in 2025. We cannot sit and even rest on the successful wins that the Democratic Party saw in 2025 in many key races across the country. For most, this occurred, what I'm about to talk about, for most people, this occurred seemingly under the radar. It was almost hush-hush. But let me tell you, nothing is hush-hush when it was put plainly in a plan called Project 25. There's nothing hush-hush about that. And what is this? What is this, you might be asking? It is this. As of December 24th, 2025, the USPS, United States Postal System, has changed its postmark rule. But before I go into talking about the rule itself, what it means, your options, all of the things that this might mean, I want us to get smarter. So I'm going to provide a little bit of context. This postmark rule change, in part, was a part really of the Delivering for America plan, the DFA. I wanted to get it proper. The Delivering for America plan, DFA, which was launched in 2021. The DFA is a 10-year strategy to achieve financial stability and service excellence in modernizing its network, investing in infrastructure, and more. The plan boasts a $40 billion, with a B, $40 billion investment, yet establishing new facilities and increasing the postage, which some of you are aware, I am. The postage rate has increased a whopping 6 times since 2021. Since the inception of this plan, the postage rate has increased 6 times. But that is really not the focus point. I mean, granted, it has impacted our pockets and the way we mail and how much postage costs, but this postmark rule change is yet another full-prong court press, a full-prong, full-court press effort to assume control over how ballots are received and ultimately counted. Who was running the USPS at the onset of the DFA, Delivering for America plan? When that plan started, who was running the USPS? This man, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, a major Republican donor with no USPS background. Ah, yes, here we go. Yet another unqualified individual for a position with enormous responsibilities and power. However, according to the Washington Post, DeJoy was pressured to resign due to conflicts with the Department of Government Efficiency, commonly known as DOGE. And he did. He was pressured to resign, and he did as of March 24th, 2025. Then came this guy, David Steiner, the current U.S. General Postmaster, and he is a former Waste Management CEO and FedEx board member. Now let's take a look at the old rule. The old rule, prior to this change, the postmark generally matched the date you mailed the item. So this is the way it used to work before December 24th. The postmark matched the day you mailed the item. So whether you dropped it off at the counter, physical post office location, or you gave it to your postman, or it got picked up out of a mailbox from the side of the road, it got a postmark that day, the day you mailed it. Under the new rule, the postmark reflects the date your mail is first processed by an automated sorting machine, which can be days later once it reaches one of the regional facilities. Hear me good. The old rule, postmark date was the day you mailed it. Now, new rule, postmark date becomes the date that a sorting machine actually runs it through the machine, and that could be at a regional facility. So it could have, by the time your postman or woman got it back to the facility, it could sit for a day or so before going through the machine and getting that actual postmark date. So what does that mean? What does it mean? What does David Steiner's new rule mean, and how does this affect you? Time-sensitive mail, like tax returns or things of that nature, court documents, anything that could be very important. Wait for it. You guessed it. Mail-in ballots. Any of those kinds of items could be postmarked after the deadline. So you can no longer wait and say, oh, okay, well, I'll put that mail ballot in the mail like 3 days before the election. I can tell you right now, with this rule change, that's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. I've always been one to encourage people that if they are unsure about the post mail, if you're not, too certain about mailing your ballot, you can always still receive your ballot in the mail, gives you time to go through everything, and then drop it off personally. Well, now that's even more so relevant and important, because your postmark date could very well be a couple of days after you physically thought you mailed it. So it's going to be important. That time sensitive date is going to be impacted through this new rule. Ultimately, let me go back to Mr. Steiner. What you've got to do now is remember that potential penalties could be imposed. Like, let's say you're mailing something that has late fees attached to it if it's not received or postmarked generally in time. Some documents or some items that you're applying for, you could be disqualified. The submission of your application and or the timeliness of a check being received, maybe through some kind of payment, that if it depended on a postmark date, could be impacted and you can face potential penalties. One of the things, I want to go through a few things because those are the bad, it's kind of the not so good. You got to make extra effort now that this rule is out. But let's talk about what you can do. These are the things you can do. I've already talked about this part. Mail early. Send important documents several days, if not weeks, before the deadline. So tax filing procrastinators here, I'm talking to you, hear me good. You've been warned. Those who vote by mail, yes, hear me good. You've been also warned. You can still request that ballot to be mailed to you, but you might want to consider hand delivering it to a mail drop-off location or directly at the supervisor of elections office. And I don't want to go into how to check your ballot and all of those things, not on this particular podcast episode, but certainly I will. And I always do when it's time for that concerning moment of, did my ballot get cast or, there are ways and mechanisms to check that now. And so I want you to be rest assured that this piece of the puzzle, meaning getting it in on time, is up to you. We trust that it will be counted. Here's another option for you. Get a hand stamp. What is that? Visit the post office counter and request a manual postmark on the day you mail it. So you then basically become the mailman who could have picked it up out of your mailbox had you not mailed it a week or so early. You physically go into the post office. You have a right, request that customer service post person to give you a manual hand stamp, which postmarks the date that you show up at the counter. You can also use certified or registered mail. This may cost a little bit more money to do that, but nonetheless, these services also offer more reliable date stamped receipts. So what does all of this mean? What does it mean? It just means that, yes, the democracy fight is still on, and it is still very heavily intense on how ballots are counting. Right now, if we can't get electors in office to change things around, if we can't get others in place to overrule elections, this mail ballot option is definitely, it's already been targeted, and now it's kind of getting the attention, and this rule change is a part of that plan. So be aware. Don't let it slip by the radar. Don't go, oh, I did not know. All of those things. I will, as your host of Evidently You're Unaware, I will do my best to bring this topic to the forefront more often than not as we start to get into primary season, certainly election season. But this changes not just for mail-in ballots, but for all the other reasons, documents, and important mail that you send or that you need to get from you to whoever the recipient is in a timely manner. So take this as caution on all fronts when it comes to the mailing system. That being said, I just simply want to thank you once again for tuning in to this episode of Evidently You're Unaware. I can't go out without letting you know and giving you an opportunity to simply be sure you know where you can reach me. And that is here at my email, Andrea@strategicblueprint.info. Again, if you've not subscribed, do so at the handle Evidently You're Unaware. Follow me on Blue Sky at thesuccessfuldiva.bsky.social and on TikTok at EYU Podcast. It has been a joy always to bring to you the information that you need to hear and you need to know and you need to share so that you are aware of what's happening in our country, communities, states, etc. Resilience, persistence, and understanding your options are an everyday necessity because we have a 34 count convicted felon who on paper is the commander-in-chief. And we have no time to rest on our laurels. We cannot be quiescent. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless.